counties were being treated like the slow-growing counties. And it was like, well, that makes no sense. If those of you who've ever been inside of a business situation, you know you tap your line of credit sometimes, not because you're not running your business well, but your business is running out so fast, you just need that more fuel to get going. So the idea that right now we're speaking with appropriations, we're speaking with the state school board, we're obviously staying in concert with our local school board is the following. So follow me on this. If you're a school board that can demonstrate the last 3 years, year-over-year growth, that's double the state average, clearly check that box, guys, okay? And you have a credit rating greater than A, check that box. Then you may draw down the same way that you would a line of credit as much as you need to be able to build what you think is appropriate for your county. Here's the caveat, just like if you have a line of credit at SunTrust or Bank of America. If you do not fill that school within 5 years, we're stewards of your tax money. We're gonna come back and we're actually gonna tell the board, you gotta give us some back. So if they built ahead of the curve, and by the 5th year they're only at 90% and say they took 100 million for easy math, we're gonna ask for 10 million back. Because at the end of the day, it's your tax money. So you don't want them spending 100 when they probably should have done something different than that. So that's our way to keep a governor on the accelerator to ensure they're taking down what they need. They should know their local area, but at the same time, this just can't be a spending spree. So that's what we're discussing. I'll give some props to Representative Morris, and he's with me on that, and I appreciate his support on that, Representative Morris, and there's others within the delegation that are, but clearly Jackson County, Dawson County, Hall County, Forsyth, Cherokee, I can keep going, guys. There's 14 counties that are feeling this effect right now. I wish all 159 were, but they're not. But we got to be able to Kristen's point, we got to be able to serve the fast growing and at the same time serve those that are more and call it a steady statement.
Yeah. I've got a question about the proposed city. I'm not sure, I've heard a lot of rumors, but I don't know the details, so I hope you could at least let me know. Has the legislature actually passed a law to allow for the vote of the city?
No.
So that still has to be done before there's any vote on the proposed city of Sharon Springs?
That is correct. Right now, that is not even inside of the committee process yet.
Okay. So, is there a proposal as to, is there something going to be proposed to allow for a vote or not?
Yes. So there's a bill dropped. Former Commissioner Smith let me know, and I apologize. It hasn't been updated on the website. It was dropped like 2 weeks ago. So anyways, the thing for me is, yes, it's already done. The bill has been updated, and you can go out and look at it. I would encourage you, if you have not, SharonSpringsCommittee.com. I'll say it again, SharonSpringsCommittee.com. It has the committee's report on there, and if you don't know about the committee, I can give you that. It also has the University of Georgia's report. It has Georgia Tech's report. At the end of the day, the responsibility of that committee was to inform you so you can make an educated decision. I will also give props to 2 organizations, one on the pro side, one on the con side, Sharon Springs Alliance. Is that SharonSpringsAlliance.org for someone? It is? Okay, SharonSpringsAlliance.org, take a look at them. Okay, they were the ones that spurred the initial, and then OpposingSharonSprings.com, OpposingSharonSprings.com. Okay, so SharonSpringsCommittee.com is what you got from your committee. The committee was 12 individuals appointed by the 7 members of the state delegation and the 5 members of the Board of Commissioners. It was basically from all 12 from around the county, so it was not just within the proposed city. 3 within the proposed city, 9 from outside. So you got a really good spread. It's inside the committee's report. I'm going to say 7, 8 meetings, met with a series of different, call it witnesses, experts, etc. Take a look at the report. It does a really good job of doing, well, if you believe this, this. If you believe this, this. So it does not take a line left or right. It goes pretty much right down the middle.
I agree with what you said, but I'm wrong. It's SharonSpringsGA.org.
I apologize. SharonSpringsGA.org. SharonSpringsGA.org. Oh, Chan.
Will there be another feasibility study for the Sharon Springs?
Feasibility study, the only thing that I know of, and I'll let Commissioner Simonson talked to it, or Commissioner Brown, is I know that the commissioners decided to do a second report. That's all I know, Chica. That's all I know.
And then also, Laura, if you would mind, could you talk about the super overlay?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Can you just finalize what the process is gonna be with regards to, since it is, there were rumors floating around that it had already been approved to be on the ballot this coming fall. So can you just go through one more time, since where you've now told us it is, what's the process?
All right, so the question was, for those of you back there, what's the process on 626? So again, I highly, highly, highly encourage you, SharonSpringsCommittee.com, the report has the process literally written out step by step by step. I only mention that because if you don't have notes, you don't need to write it down, it's right there. So first process is, it will go through the committee, or governmental affairs. Assuming it goes through that, it would go through the rules committee. Assuming it gets through that, it would go to the House floor. Assuming it gets through that, it would go to the Senate. Assuming it doesn't get changed in the Senate, we won't even get into a conference. But assuming that goes, and then it would go to the governor, and then you would be informed that a referendum is going to occur. Now listen to this key thing, because this is important. It's so important that everybody gets educated on the process, and everyone gets educated on what this means and what it doesn't mean. But equally important, the idea was that there would have to be a mandate to not change government unless there was a mandate. Now what does that mean? 50% 0.1 against 49.9? I don't think that's a mandate. The committee agreed. They didn't think 55-45 was a mandate. It came down to 57.5. And it's in the report on how that happened, but 6 went 55 and 6 went 60, and frankly, they just met in the middle. Okay, I wish I could tell you something more kind of elaborate, but that's basically what occurred. So for me, I felt comfortable as the chair of that committee saying, if we're going to change government, then we should change by mandate, not by you just happened to swing an extra vote, or it was raining that day and you didn't get turnout. So think of it 60-40, that's a 20-point spread, and that would provide, in fact, a mandate. I think probably more important than that from my perspective, it just rips the Band-Aid off. Once and for all, we're either gonna have it or we're not gonna have it, but if we're gonna have it, move on, and if we're not gonna have it, we gotta rally. Either way, I love Forsyth County. The key for us should be, let's go ahead, if we're gonna change, and if we're not, we have to rally around the county. Laura, did you want to answer the question?
Yeah. So a little bit of that is semantics and understanding what those reports are. The feasibility study actually is not the type of study that the county performed. The feasibility study was to do just that, to determine whether or not having a new city was feasible. That was the study that the Sharon Springs Alliance funded through private donations. So to kind of look at what the impacts are of that to the rest of the county, once that portion would potentially be excised out of the tax base, the county conducted an impact study. So that's the first study that the county did. That original study is being updated. There are a few different reasons why that is. One of them being that the original study was done through Georgia Tech. They're no longer authorized to do that study. So just to make sure everything is above board, that study is being reperformed. So to compare the two side by side is really kind of like comparing apples and oranges. They're never really meant to look at things through the same lens, or they're looking at the same thing from a completely different perspective. So the study for the viability study or the feasibility study was done to say, hey, if you're within Sharon Springs, is it feasible to make this a city? And the other one is, if you are part of the county, what does that mean to us? So they're very, very different studies as far as what their intent is for the information to deliver. So yes, we are updating the county side of that study.
Who's doing that?
Pardon me?
That can be voted on even though it hasn't been updated yet?
We've already authorized an update to that study.
Who's performing that study? You said,
We are taking that to Georgia State now. Yeah, Georgia State. So the state tells us that basically there are two organizations within the state of Georgia that are authorized to provide a report of that nature when we are considering things like incorporation. of a city. And basically, one is the University of Georgia, and the other one used to be Georgia Tech. Well, now the other one is now Georgia State, it's no longer Georgia Tech. And so we have a very limited pool from which to have acceptable reports delivered. And so, you know, you wouldn't go to the same organization as performing one necessarily, so they weren't both done out of the University of Georgia. You have, you know, completely independent processes going on. And so I hope that's clear. The other question, I think you were asking about the overlay. And this is something that's rather new. I don't think Kelly's covered it yet.
It'll be in tomorrow's paper.
Okay. Yeah, so at our last work session, Dennis over here and I introduced kind of you may have heard of